Welcome to Tech in the Car. In this video I'm driving the Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio. I'm giving you my review of it. Welcome to Tech in the Car. This is the Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio. This car looks stunning. This is meant to be the best car that you can get in the mid-size market. This is perhaps the best sports sedan saloon there is. We've got a 2.9 litre V6 twin turbo, 510 horsepower, 600 Newton meters of torque through an 8-speed automatic gearbox, rear wheel drive with a sports differential. And just look at this. So there's lots of cool things going on here. Look at this down the side of the doors. The door sills are carbon fiber. They go all the way down and they kind of fan out from the back to the front to make it look really unique and interesting. The roof is carbon fiber. The bonnet is carbon fiber, as you can probably hear. We've got 19-inch wheels with massive brake calipers, and they're red as well. And then we've got the Quadrifoglio badge. So what this signifies is the performance division of Alfa Romeo. And the story behind this is that Enzo Ferrari met this other gentleman called Hugo Savacci, and they started racing for Alfa Romeo. And they decided that they were having bad luck, so they decided to put a 4-leaf clover on their racing car, and they started winning races, and they were doing really well. And then unfortunately he died in an accident, and so instead of having the 4-leaf clover in a square, because he died, to remember him, they made it a triangle. So that is where the Quadrifoglio badge comes from. Looking at the bonnet here, you can see these really interesting vents here. It's all scooped out, very aggressive, which looks really interesting. The Alfa Romeo badge, of course, here. And then down here, you have the active aero. So this is an active aero front spoiler, which will deploy at 60 miles an hour for better stability. And I believe this is the only car in the current range in mid-size saloons which has an active aero front spoiler. You will also notice on this 2020-2021 model, there is an adaptive cruise sensor. So this car has been updated to include all of the driving technology, and we'll show you in a little bit when I go for a drive, that its competitors had, and it was previously missing. So this now has adaptive cruise control, lane assist, traffic jam assist, all the technology that you would expect in a car which costs what this costs. I really like these wheels. They're awesome wheels, no doubt about that. And from the back here, you've got this dovetail spoiler, again carbon fiber, and that looks really cool. I mean, just look at that. It looks aerodynamic and it's a very unique look. Again, very, very individual. Even the tail lights at the back here, they're clear in the middle. It's very unusual. Normally you'd have them the same color as the rest of the lights, so that's a cool feature. And then down here you have the quad tailpipes and the massive diffuser, which make this car look unbelievably aggressive from behind. I mean, look at the size of these diffuser blades. They're massive. They look like a boat turned upside down. They look amazing. And of course you've got a rear camera here for reversing as well. It's just a very aggressive, very wide car. You can see the haunches here coming up the back. It's even got insects attracted to it. And just the whole car looks amazing. And what's also interesting is, although this is the same size as a BMW 3 Series or a Mercedes C-Class, it feels a lot smaller when driving it as well, which is really, really interesting. So we're inside the Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio, and we've got this amazing interior. You can see the steering wheel here with Alcantara inserts on the side, red stitching, carbon fiber down the middle with the Quadrifoglio logo, the start-stop button, and then you've got your controls on steering wheel for the lane keep, adaptive cruise control. These weren't on the previous generation, so that's new to this car. And then your volume and track skip forward and backwards. voice control and phone button. Inside here you can see it's really beautiful. You got carbon fiber here on the inside. You've got the Italian flag, just to let you remember that this car is Italian, not that you should have any doubt, because this is an Alfa Romeo. You've got one USB port here. Down here, a USB Type-C auxiliary in and a standard USB and a cigarette charger. And this has wireless charging as well, but my phone won't fit in there, as you can probably see. Nobody makes car phone holders for folding phones, apparently. Inside, more carbon fiber, more red stitching. You've got Harman Kardon speakers, 900 watts, leather all over the insides, these analog, really cool dials as well. You've got your climate control, very easy to use to adjust it, turn it up and down, adjust the speed, turn on the demisting, the seat heating. You've got another 12 volt here. That's two, very close to each other. Two nice cup holders here. You know, the sides of this are wrapped in leather. This is really nice plastic leather. It's just a really nice interior. These are not the carbon bucket seats made by Sparco, but they're very comfortable. They're fully electric, got lots of adjustability. No complaints at all. Cool vents as well here. And then down the side of the steering wheel, let's not forget these amazing aluminium paddle shifters, which are attached to the steering column. They're not attached to the steering wheel, so they don't turn when you drive, just like a Ferrari. And then you've got your light controls on this side, your controls for your windscreen wipers as well. We have analog dials in this car, and then we've got our central gauge cluster, and you can see everything you can want to on there. And I can cycle through the radio stations like this, but it doesn't appear to me that there is any way to actually adjust that information that's on the screen other than through the infotainment system that you saw. So it shows you all the information you want, the light, the speed limit, the time, what you're listening to and your speed, but it doesn't give you the ability to adjust it on the fly. We're inside the Giulia Quadrifoglio, and I have to be honest with you, I'm in dynamic mode right now. The steering is really precise. I feel that. There's no doubt about it. As you're driving along here, every little turn you make, you can feel responding to you. It's a really interesting feeling. It's very different from the steering in the other cars that I've driven, even compared to the M5, which, although it was a really, really fun car to drive, the steering didn't feel like this. It just feels very, very nimble, very, very happy to be in any position, moving anywhere. The feeling too, the quality, you know, have these aluminium gear shifters, it just feels really, really good in your hand. You feel very safe, very secure. And I know right now that I've got all of these new advanced assistance systems which weren't there previously, which I didn't have. So, you know, that's a first as well. And it's really interesting to see that I've got all of these and I have that safety and security to know that. But I mean, you know, like you put your foot down a tiny bit, you know, and it feels really good. It feels a lot of fun. There's no doubt about that. I can understand the feeling of fun. You've got this, definitely got this push from the back of the car because it's rear wheel drive, which is pushing you along. And to have that 510 horsepower Ferrari derived V6, which is based on the engine in the Ferrari Portofino and also now has been updated and put into the new Ferrari Roma, you just feel like you've got a really special engine underneath you. And I think that's really important, to feel that specialness when driving a car. I think that cars are meant to have that feeling, that emotion, that you want to drive them because they bring you somewhere special. I feel like this car is very, very capable of anything I can throw at it. You know, the suspension, really interesting. I'm in a sporty suspension mode now, so let's try changing the suspension. We got soft dampers now. That feels much better, much easier over the bumps in the road, because we are in England after all, and it is a wet, rainy English day. This car feels very, very good to drive. So this is exciting to drive this car. I can feel exactly where I am on the road. It feels very precise. The brakes feel really sharp. as I drive around the corner here, I feel confident in where I am. It's just, you know, an amazing car to drive. I haven't driven the M3, and I'm very interested in driving the new M3. I'm very interested in maybe, you know, getting a new M3. I haven't driven the C63. I hope that I will get the opportunity to drive them. I don't know how they would compare. This car feels like my car in terms of size. This is obviously a bigger car than the A3, the RS3, but in terms of size, it doesn't feel very big. It feels very nimble and very precise, which I think is exactly what you want in a car. You don't want a car which feels large and difficult to control. There is definitely a feeling that this is wider than other cars. There's no doubt about that. I think the kind of aggressive body language gives that, definitely. And, you know, you can feel it. When I was driving through the narrow roads there, I could feel that I was more concerned about the width of this car. You know, what would have that been like in an M5? It would have been even more difficult to drive around there in the M5, which is even wider. But, you know, I'm driving along here. Let's put my foot down a bit, feel the kick as I go faster. This car is fantastic to drive. There's absolutely an experience which you want, and you can feel that. If you're after a mid-size saloon, this is an amazing car. It's got all the technology that you want now. Yeah, it still is let down a bit in some places. The technology may not be as advanced as other cars in the sector, but it's got it all. I'm using Android Auto. I've talked to Google. I know where I am. I've got my adaptive cruise control. Plus, I've got a 500 horsepower engine, which owes its birth to Ferrari and in an Alfa Romeo. So definitely check out the Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio if you're after a car which is a sports car but comfortable with space in the back. Then you should get one of these. There's no doubt about it in my mind. I hope you enjoyed this video on Tech in the Car. Please comment, like, subscribe, or even dislike if you don't like this video. Any feedback is great, and I appreciate it, and it's really welcome. And stay tuned for more videos from Tech in the Car. Stay safe, everyone. See you soon. Thank you.